Welcome back, everybody, to a Little Less Fear podcast. I'd like to introduce Professor James Perdue. Hold up, Professor of Perseverance. James became a quadriplegic, dislocating 3 vertebrae in his neck from playing a football game. The doctor said, James, I'm sorry. You'll never walk again, and you might be paralyzed from your neck down. Later, the doctor advised his family to place him in a nursing home. He would be too much of a burden for them to take care of. Dr. James Perdue, professor of Perseverance, worked hard to achieve success as an award-winning educator and coaching a state championship team. As a motivational, inspirational speaker, best-selling author, and life coach, James helps people get out of their past, step into the future, and persevere to their future. I love it. Welcome to a Little Less Fear podcast, James. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for giving me this opportunity, man. This is amazing, man. I loved your podcast title and everything. Yeah, we're on the same track here, buddy.
We're in alignment right now, and I love your energy, and I feel your energy. So this is definitely a call from the angels for us to come here and get together. Hey, James, tell us about your incredible journey.
Well, what happened is when I was younger, I played baseball. I was one of them. Grew up a baseball player. I wanted to be a professional athlete, professional baseball player. Even today in our high school I graduated from, I'm the only person that got the most valuable player award 2 years, my junior and
Wow.
senior year. Even the guy, when I got in my junior year, actually the guy the year before me, he was a junior coming back as a senior. And so I beat him out. And then my senior year, I got it again. And so it's right now, I'm the only person that's ever done that. And so, but my goal in life was to be a professional athlete. Now, my father died when I was 16. And so I had to grow up to be a man of the family pretty much. I got an older brother.
Oh,
But
you
he
had to
was,
grow up quick, huh?
well, he's not mechanically inclined. All right. So, and I don't want to say we were poor, but we were knocking on the door of being poor.
Uh-huh.
So my mom raising 3 of us with her father passed away. And if our car broke down, I had to be the mechanic and learn how to fix it because
Wow.
we couldn't afford a mechanic. And so I learned how to do that. If our roof leaked, and sometime it did from rain, I'm the one who had to be the roofer to fix it, patch it best I can because we couldn't afford a roofer. Same thing wintertime in Tennessee. January, February is our worst cold spells. It'll drop down into teens. And so if the pipes froze and burst, I'm underneath the house at the age of 16, finding the problem and throwing out the
Jeez.
pipes and fixing them so we have water. So because we again, we weren't poor, but we were knocking on that doorstep.
Oh my
So
goodness.
so my goal was to be a professional athlete. That way I could buy my mom this new house, not have to worry about anything anymore, buy stuff, car stuff for my brothers, like that. And used to be way back when, used to have, you can order a bride. You have bride mail order. And so I was going to get a mail order groom for my mom, just to after daddy
Wait,
died.
what do you mean? What do you mean mail order bride, mail order group? What do you mean by that?
Oh, way back then you could order a groom from another well, not I don't know about a groom, woman to wife. You can
Wow.
pay other countries, and they would send you a list of pictures or whatever, and you can today it's a dating game, but same thing. You have to pay the
Sure.
service to be able to, and so yeah, so I was going to do that for her,
Oh,
and
how
so
sweet of you.
so we'll say, and so but and so what happened is I got to go to college. I was there on a scholarship and I got to play one fall game, the only freshman starting. The very next day, we were playing a pickup game of football. No helmets, no pads, but we were playing tackle. And so my team had got the ball back. And I remember saying, hey, we've been out here about 2 hours. I need to get my stuff ready for class the next day. And so I walked out of the huddle. Actually, if I kept walking, who knows where I'd be today. So walking away from the huddle, then I heard someone say, we need someone to run the ball. I said, all right, I'll come back for one more play.
Oh man.
Name of my book, One More Play. Okay.
Wow.
I know I'm shamelessly plugging. Okay. One more play. So I go back, they hand the ball off to me, bust through the line, broke a couple of couple of tackles, scored a touchdown. As I was turning back towards everyone, out of my peripheral vision on my right side, I see something. I don't know what it is. So I see something, but I'm putting the ball down because I scored a touchdown, plays over. Well, apparently the play wasn't over. The guy still hit me to tackle me. I heard a loud pop and we both went to the ground. And I thought my collarbone had broke on the right side. And I tried to get up, lift my head. Nothing followed. My arms didn't come up at that time. Legs didn't come up. And I tried 2 or 3 times and realized then that I was paralyzed. So what had
Wow.
broken was not my collarbone, but was actually my neck.
So did you actually feel pain when that happened, or was it like was it even the pain severed?
No, I did feel pain, but it wasn't overwhelmingly pain. I mean, I wasn't crying or anything, and no, it was more like a sharp ache, but
Wow.
not a pain. No.
And so you realized pretty quickly then, huh? That you're like, oh my goodness, I'm
Oh
paralyzed.
yeah, as soon as boom, I get hit. Then all of a sudden, the guys jumping up and down. I tackled him. Says, and I go, and I said, "Yeah, I'll show you tackle." Because again, I thought I was invincible in life.
Sure.
Growing up like that, being an athlete like that, thought I was invincible, and I was left-handed, and I thought the right collarbone broke. And then so here I'm going, yeah, I'll show you, because I figured being I'm invincible. I'm gonna get up. I'll fight him one-handed.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
way what I thought. So I tried to get up. Nothing came. Just lift my head, put it back down. Nothing came up. And then the guy goes, "Well, does a touchdown still count?" I said, "Man, I'm really going to get up now." And I lift my head again. Nothing come up. And then did the old three's a charm and tried a third time. Nothing came up. And then I knew instantly I was paralyzed. And then I started thinking about a man I had met named JT.
Who's
When I
JT?
when I was 12, 14 years old, I used to go to a nursing home to visit my grandfather in the nursing home. One day I went to go visit him, and room before I got to my grandfather, I'm passing. All of a sudden I hear in the room, "Hey buddy, can you come here?" So I stopped and went into him. He said, "Can you hold that glass for me so I can get some water?" And so I held the glass for him with water in it, straw was in it, and he was curled up like this. And he thanked me and went on. And I come to find out he was paralyzed from his neck down from a car accident, probably in his mid 30s.
Oh,
And so I'm laying on there thinking of JT and thinking at the age of 19, I'm going to be in a nursing home.
oh my goodness.
That's what was going through my head when I realized I was paralyzed.
So what happened after that?
Well, I went to the hospital and the local hospital where I was, and they
This
did
is
the
in
X-rays.
Tennessee?
Tennessee, yeah, when I was going to school in Pulaski, if anybody knows that.
I don't.
Um, and so went to the local hospital, and they couldn't do anything for me. So they transferred me 2 hours back north, central north, to Nashville, to St. Thomas Hospital. And
And
that's where the doctors did their test and other x-rays and stuff, and then confirmed that I'd broke my neck and hurt my spinal cord, and told me that I would never walk again and possibly not move from my neck down.
what did you think at that moment? You're 19 years old, like you're just starting school. Like, what were your thoughts?
Again, I thought I was not disabled. I thought being invincible. I
Mhm.
thought, yeah, I'll walk again. Is what I was thinking. Said may walk with a limp, maybe real slow. But I knew that my baseball was over with, because
Mhm.
being would be so weak, and knew that it was over with. And but yeah, I had it in my head I would be walking. So
So what happened after all that? You had to go through physical therapy.
spent
I'm assuming,
three
yeah.
months. Yeah, I spent 3 months in the hospital from this. Man, times have changed. I hear people they're in hospital from a broken neck like 6 days, and then they're already transferred to a rehab. But
Yikes.
I was in the hospital for 3 months,
Oh
uh,
man.
doing rehab there and being taken care of. And then the same day I was released, I went to Birmingham, Alabama, to a rehab that's specifically for paralyzed people. And that's when that doctor told my family that I'd be too much of a burden for them to provide care, and they recommend put me in a nursing home.
how did your family handle that part?
Well, fortunately and luckily enough and blessed enough that they were all hard-headed like me, and they said no, nursing home was not an option. They were going to go the full route, not knowing what's going to happen in the future. And even some of the doctors told my family that I would live, 10 years, is what they were saying. And so they were all in, you know, to take care of me the best we could. So, uh, yeah, that's it. Then I got some home health nursing to come in for a while, and they brought in physical therapy. This guy here was a genius, Dr. Odot. I had gotten where I could, of course, move my arms and hands, but they were so weak I couldn't feed myself or anything at that time.
Yeah.
Still so weak. But I got hurt on September 11th
Oh,
of
wow.
1983, not the country's
Yeah.
2001, 1983. And on Halloween night yesterday, I first moved a muscle in my leg in 1983. And so within, 6 weeks, I was moving a muscle in my leg. So now I'm really thinking, yeah, you're going to be walking one
Uh-huh.
day. And so went to rehab in Birmingham for a month, come back home, met up with this doctor. He was great. He gave us some exercises. He recognized that I can move the muscles and get them strength. And within a year after that, I got where I was able to stand up. I could
What? Are you
stand,
kidding me? What?
stand. He even brought, for a while, it was my mother and brother on one side of me helping me stand up. But once I was up, I could just lightly hold them to keep my balance.
Hmm.
And we showed him that. Well, he brought some homemade parallel bars that he had and put them up in the house. I mean, they were just plywood with rails just bolted down on there. And
Wow.
it was only like 7 or 8 feet long. And they would help me get up. And then I was walking on the parallel bars there, back, there, back. Of course, one trip and I felt like I run a mile. And
Yeah.
but yeah, so after doing all that, I was going, man, I'm gonna be really walking after all this.
Yeah.
Then I got to a point where I just peaked out. I was able to stand anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, depending on what time of day and how strong everything felt. Even if I didn't go anywhere, I feel like I run a mile. If I just stood and
Yeah,
just run a
that's
run a
exhausting
mile,
right
I'm
there, huh?
yeah. And so I went to 18 different rehabs in 5 years trying to find
Jeez.
that cure to walk again.
Uh-huh.
So the last one I came back from, I mean, I was as far as Pennsylvania. I spent 3 months with the Miami Project in Miami, several places in Tennessee, Birmingham, Atlanta, Shepherds. I mean, yeah, 18 different rehabs trying to find that cure. After the last one, which at that time wasn't going to be a lie, but eventually it turned out to be a lie to the family and myself. That when I got back, I told my family, says, if I'm going to have any type of life, I need to go back to school seriously, because I was going to school, going a year or two, quitting, go another 6 months, quitting. And after the last rehab and after that fifth year, I said, if I'm going to have any time, because at that point, I didn't know anybody paralyzed to talk to about any of this. It's
Hmm.
not as easy as it is today. Get on the internet and find somebody.
Yeah, right.
If you didn't know anybody in a small town, you don't know anybody. And
Yeah.
so I had no idea what to expect on. So I said, if I want to have a good job, I need to go back to college and get a degree if I want to do anything. And I wasn't one of the scholarly type persons when I was in high school. I
Mhm.
kept my grade a nice C average just so I can play sports.
Yeah.
I didn't care about grades. I was wanted to get drafted and move on. I didn't care. But after this, you change, your attitude has to change. And my
Sure.
brother gave me some great advice. He said, all the hard work and determination you have playing baseball, you
Yeah.
need to put that into your studies.
True.
And so we did that, and I did that. And yeah, so after I tell people, for our 2 year community college, it only took me 8 years to get a 2 year degree. You know,
Right.
but that's from getting your neck broke and all the therapy and running around.
Sure.
But here's where the lie I'm getting. Let me get to this lie, that when I said it's time to I said, it's not that I'm quitting trying to walk.
Yeah.
we need to put it on the back burner so I can go to college if I want to have a life. And not that I'm quitting. Well, that wasn't a lie at the time, because that wasn't my intention was to continue trying. Well, here it is. Honestly, here it is. I've never once been to a rehab to work on my walking. I would go to get exercise for my arms, to get strength and help with transferring and stuff.
Yeah.
But since then, it's been 39 years now. So 34 years ago, it turned out being a lie. But again, it wasn't the intention to be a lie, but
Right,
that's how
sure.
it turned. That's how it turned out. And I mean, it turned out to be a small blessing that it was time to accept everything and move on, to put me on the path where I'm at today.
And so the path you're on today, so you actually went and you finished school,
Like I said, it took me 8 years to get a 2-year degree. And
right?
so, but again, when you go through a broken neck and everything else along with that, 8
Sure.
years may be a pretty good time. Who knows?
I'll say it's a
And
good time. And
yeah,
what was it
so
like for you going to school in your newfound, I guess I don't like to call them disabilities, because I mean I've got some quote unquote disabilities myself. I actually call them abilities because I feel that it's giving me a different type of ability compared to other
mhm.
people. So now that you had your newfound ability, like how do you think that that helped you with your life? Because I mean, I see you full of joy in life right now.
Well, yeah, of course, when the first back, you're smarter when you're younger, you're smarter than your parents, right?
Sure.
My mom had died, and I'm paralyzed. Not my mom, my dad had died, and I'm
Mhm.
paralyzed and everything, and I had my driver's license to drive, even though I couldn't drive because I'm paralyzed. So it's time to renew my license. And my mom says, you need to renew these so you can keep your license. And I go, wow, I'll never drive again.
Yeah.
She says, well, you don't know that. And I said, I don't know any other people that are driving in wheelchairs. I
Right.
said, she said, well, what if you need to prove you're over 18? You'll need it. I said, well, I can get an ID. I
Sure.
said, that's cheaper than buying a driver's license. And well, wouldn't you know it, I learned to drive again. So I had to go take the daggum test all over again. And so I'm telling anybody I always talk to, if you become disabled at any time or point and you're not driving, do not let the license expire. Keep renewing, no matter if you're driving or not, because one day you might be driving, so you don't have to take a daggum test all over again.
Yeah, I don't like that
But
test.
here, but here, yeah, here's my mom being smart. I'm going, and I knew more than her. No, I'm gonna let
No,
it go.
mother always knows best for
Yeah,
real.
that's right. So, yeah, and when I first started driving, now, of course, I had let them expire, right? So when I first started driving, because I was able to stand, I was driving one foot on the gas, one on the brake, thinking I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
No, it didn't work too well either.
Uh-huh.
And so when I was going to the 2-year school, community college, I met this one woman in class, and kind of found she had adopted, like at that time, 18 children that were disabled. She was a foster,
Wow.
she was a foster parent and adopted parent to
Bless
these.
her heart. My
She was
goodness.
amazing. Well, then I started telling about my driving. My brother and mom had to take me to class, come back and get me, and I want to so I like to get back to driving. I would explain about my feet and everything, how I'm doing it, and then she says, well, what's stopping you driving? I said, well, you got to get these hand controls, and I don't have the money to buy them or anything. And
Yeah.
she said, well, how much are they? I said, I think they're like $500. At that time, it was like $500.
Uh-huh.
And I said, you're like $500, but I don't have that to get the hand controls and everything. She comes to class the next day and hands me an envelope, $500 to get to get the hand controls to drive with.
Man, you're putting me to tears here, James.
Man, I tell
You're
you,
bringing me to tears.
I'm blessed. If anybody hears me
Yeah.
griping and complaining about life,
Right.
I hope they come and slap me around and say,
Yeah,
man,
right.
you need to go back to all these blessings that were given to you. For her to get those
Wow.
hand controls for me, other things that's been done for me, so yeah, if I'm complaining, someone, I hope they slap me around and make me wake up.
Yeah. Bless her heart. And thank you for sharing that. Wow, it's
and
amazing.
and and she's one of them angels in your life that was there. I never saw her anymore
Wow.
during any classes that I took or any time on campus ever again. But I did remember, like, I don't know, maybe a year later, they were doing one of the news stations was doing a story, and it was on her adopting and foster parenting all these children with disability, and it was her
Oh,
on the thing on the news.
sounds like a saint to me, like a saint on earth, man.
Yeah.
Wow. What an amazing story, James. Thanks for sharing that. So, James, tell us about you becoming, tell where did Professor of Perseverance come from? And I love the word perseverance. It's one of my favorite words. So, how did you get coined that word?
Oh, we better go back and do the
Yeah, fist bump. I love
all
it.
right. So what had happened is now you're seeing me on my real good great days. About 12 years ago, 14 years ago, I attempted suicide. 3 times in 3 days is how bad I wanted. 3 times I attempted suicide in 3 days.
Wow.
That's how bad I wanted out. And the last time someone found me sucking carbon monoxide in my van in my garage, and they found me. And they said I wasn't breathing. I don't know. They got me to the hospital, put me in a hyperbaric chamber to force the carbon monoxide out of my body and oxygen into it. I was
Yeah.
in there for like 4 hours. And then I was in the hospital for 7 weeks, 8 weeks in
Oh,
the
wow.
hospital. And so then I tell people, just try to lighten the mood now. And that I said, when you live through a suicide attempt, they make you see a psychiatrist. They make you see a
Yep.
psychologist.
I've been
If
there,
you live
James.
well, and
Yeah.
so meeting with him, I met with him for a year, and meeting with him, he said, for whatever reason, God didn't take you.
Sure.
You have a story. You have your life you've overcome all this. You need to write a book. You need to get into public speaking. You need to get to be in motivational, inspirational speaking. And so from 12, 14 years ago has put me where I'm at today. And so, yeah, so took me 12 years to write my first book, and there speaking publicly. Yeah. And then I started off a couple years ago, YouTube channel, just talking about overcoming adversity. And then started a podcast like yourself about 2.5 years ago.
That's
And
amazing.
basically doing the same thing, sharing people's stories to get them out there for everybody to hear them.
Yes, and I love it. And that's really what pumps me up about being a podcaster. These amazing people such as yourself, like uplifting humanity. It's really, you're a blessing, James. Seriously.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, now to go back to answer your question,
Yeah.
I was at one of my speaking in, what be a seminar, workshops, one of our
Mhm.
speaking workshops. And I met a friend there, became friends, and his name John. Hey, John Bentley, I'm talking about you again, buddy.
Yeah.
And so one day we're there, and we only met like once a month with the group. And so one day we were there, and all of a sudden I hear behind me, Professor of Perseverance. I'm ignoring him because I've never been called that yet. And so I'm ignoring him, Professor of Perseverance,
Yeah.
ignoring him. And then all of a sudden, James. And then I turned around and said, Hey, John, how's it going, man? He said, I've been calling for you. I said, huh? He said, you're the Professor of Perseverance. And I go, what? And he says, you got a doctorate degree, right? And I said, well, yeah. So you're a professor. You want to talk about perseverance, don't you? Yeah. You're the Professor of Perseverance. John, I'm stealing that, man. And
Yeah,
so,
for sure. He
yeah.
coined it
So
for you.
so that's how we got started with the professor on there.
Well, I love it, and it definitely suits you perfectly.
So I got a little funny little story. We got a Popeyes chicken store, Popeyes
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
restaurant in our community here. And I was coming by one day, I guess coming home, and it's getting not dark yet, but it's getting, a little darker, but not fully. And so I look over at the restaurant, Popeyes, and I see in POP was lit up, but the word eyes wasn't lit up. Pop was, but not eyes. It wasn't lit up. So I stopped, took a picture, and then I said, look, even Popeyes
Professor of
is,
Perseverance.
there you go. It said even Popeyes is advertising for the Professor of
Yeah.
Perseverance. So,
That's awesome, James. I love it. Signs everywhere.
that's right. So
So walk us through your book. Your book, One More Play. When did that come out? And is it? I mean, tell us what it's about.
It's just a memoir, how I got in the wheelchair, just as what we're talking about. Popeyes wasn't mentioned in there, uh, but it talks about my suicide attempts later in life and other things before that, going through college, and just my memoir, how I got my service dog, Ricardo. He's chapter 15, and he actually came after. Again, you talking about blessings coming. I'm telling you, when I'd applied for a service dog about 2 years before I attempted suicide, and they kept.
Wow.
It took like a 5 phase process to
Jeez.
get this dog from there, and so I attempted suicide. So now, while I'm in the hospital, I told my family, said, well, "Bring me my mail because no need y'all paying my bills for me. I can write out everything while I'm in here." So they brought the mail to me, and then all of a sudden there was a letter in there from Canine Companions of Independence, and they said, "James, we've been calling you at your house and you're not answering. We've left messages, you're not responding. We're letting you know we think we have a canine, a dog that will help you.
Uh-huh.
We
Oh
need to
wow.
know, are you still interested?" And I'm thinking, man, what a blessing here. Here I am, attempted suicide because I feel there's no hope going on in life. And then here's a letter in the form of a dog that's providing hope for me.
Yeah.
And so that's chapter 15 of that book. So
Ricardo, huh?
Ricardo, yeah.
Tell us about Ricardo.
Ricardo, he's 14 years old now. I've had him for 12 years. They trained him for
Wow.
2 of his first two. And so one of the reasons that I needed to get him was one day I was transferring out, and this is in my book. One day I was transferring out of my bed into my wheelchair, and the wheelchair took off, had a mind of its own, left me behind, and I hit the floor. And the
Oh, what?
position, the position I landed on the floor, I couldn't roll because my legs were half under the bed too. So I couldn't roll because my hips wouldn't let me roll with the hips on the bed, under the bed. So I couldn't reach the phone. It was only 3 feet away from me to call
Oh,
for help.
dang.
So I had to drag myself from my bedroom
Oof.
to my living room. And I'm a big guy here.
Oh,
And it only took me 2.5 hours to get to the
whoa.
phone because paramedics to come help me off the floor.
Oh my
And so
goodness.
then I was a school teacher for a while. And so I went in that Saturday, went in Monday to teach, and I had all this scabs and blood and, my arms and wrist, face, were digging my chin in the carpet to pull, elbows, back of my
Ah.
hands, knees. And one woman who worked there, she worked with dogs for the sheriff's department. And so she got a hold of one of her nieces that recommend this place in Orlando, Canine Companions for Independence. And that's how I got Ricardo. So the first day with Ricardo, not first day, but within a few months coming home, I'm trying to transfer into my chair. All of a sudden it moves. Now I'm half on my chair, and I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna hit the daggum floor again, and I can't get to the phone. And I'm going, and so I go, whoa, wait a minute, I got myself, because I started leaving my cell phone beside me when I transferred. So I reached to get the cell phone, dropped it, went under the bed. I'm going, now what I do? Good gracious, now I'm going to, and I said, man, I want to hit the floor and have to drag myself 2 hours again. And then I go, wait a minute, I got Ricardo. Ricardo, come here, boy. He comes in here just wagging his tail all happy. And I'm pointing under the bed and I go, phone, Ricardo, get the phone. He goes up underneath the bed and that butt's up in there. All of a sudden that tail just 1,000 miles an hour, it looks like. He comes back and I'm going, yes, got the phone. He backs out and he's got his squeaky toy. He's just punching and squeaking. I'm going, Ricardo, not your squeaky toy. Go get the phone, buddy. So he dropped that and dove back underneath there again. All of a sudden, that tail's a wagging. He's backing up again. I'm going, yes, he's got it. And then he's got a water bottle crunching on it. I'm going, Ricardo, come on, buddy. Third time the charm. He comes back with that phone and was able to call for help before he hit the ground. So
Wow. So
he's a,
he saved you.
he's been a blessing, and not only to me, he's the Walmart mascot where we live. That everybody, uh, and when I got him, they said it's up to y'all. A lot of people get those patches. Do not pet. Do not talk to the dog. They're at work, or you can let other people pet them. It's up to you. And I said, well, I'm going to let him pet him. One, he can get more loving from other people than just me.
Yeah.
And I can tell my story. That's what I'm doing now to them on how I got him. That way they can get their story and canine companions for anybody else. And I said, yeah, I'm going to let people. So, but you wouldn't believe how many people that I let, and they were nice. They can I pet your dog? Sure, go ahead. He would enjoy the loving. But you wouldn't believe how many would just start bawl crying. And they'd go, I just put my dog down 6 months ago,
Oof.
or I put mine down a year ago. And they say, and then they're crying and hugging all over him. And then they get done. They thank me for sharing him with them.
Oh
Man, he's
man.
been a blessing for everybody.
And I'm
He's
sure he's
14.
loving it, huh?
Oh, you know, with all the extra loving, yeah. And then at one point, 3 or 4 different places in Walmart when we walk around had bags of treats waiting for him to come by to give him treats. And he got to expecting that treat when
Yeah.
we go somewhere. And finally, we had to keep him under a certain amount of weight. And one day we went to go weigh and he was above. And so I had to go to all these places in the store and say,
No more snacks.
no more. Yeah. I said, I know y'all hate it because y'all want to give to him. I know he's going to hate it. I said, but he's got to stay under a certain amount of weight for him to do his job. Because they told about a story one time. One guy was giving his dog treats every time he done something and gained 25 pounds in like
Oh no.
40 days. And they said
What?
that they had to take the dog away from him to
Oh
diet the dog
no.
to get him back
Oh
underweight. And they said, don't do it again. And I said, yeah, we ain't doing that.
no, we're not.
Yeah, he got 5 pounds over. I said, no, this is it.
That's enough.
We're not going to, for them to find out. No, we're going to start this diet now. So, but he's incredible. He's my only service dog I've ever had. And I mean, the best could have gotten. So,
Well, you know what, James? Sounds like Ricardo is a blessing just as much as you're a blessing to this world. And I feel blessed having to have crossed paths with you and having you on a Little Less Fear podcast. Thanks so much for being here. How can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners find you and your book?
they just I tell people the easiest thing, just Google Professor of Perseverance and you'll see my mug, and usually Ricardo's with me on the pictures. And so, yeah, I just tell people, just Google Professor of Perseverance, it'll pop up.
Excellent. And what about your book?
And you say, we say one, I've written now probably 10.
You've written 10 books?
Well, 5 of them are, you won't believe this, 5 of them are children's books about Ricardo.
That's beautiful. What?
His first book is, I was like 45 when I got him, something like that, 42 maybe, so 45, 40, something like that. But in the book, I'm portrayed like a 15-year-old in a wheelchair wanting to play baseball. And, you know, I could hit off of a tee, but I couldn't chase the ball in the field. So my mom's on the computer, which my mom has no clue what she don't want to learn a computer. But in the book, she's on the computer, wanting to find out about dogs helping chase a ball. And so we get this organization we go for the training. Ricardo's in there. I'm the 15-year-old doing everything there. We come home and Ricardo's on the baseball field chasing the ball down so I could play ball. And so that was the first book. He's got his own Christmas book. He gets to meet Santa and Rudolph and help pass gifts out in the house. And one of the other stories, most of them they're to help with different disabilities. That way at the end I can talk about the disability. So one time, true story, a guy died of cancer at 15. When one of the family I met at Walmart worked there, told me about their child who died at 15 of cancer. So in this book, he doesn't die of the cancer. He goes through it. Ricardo goes to visit him at the hospital. He lives in this book, and him and Ricardo actually hunting, and he's bringing his duck back to the guy hunting. And so, but one of the other ones book is people really get tore up with this one. And this is like a godsend to me. A woman comes up at the store, says, can my son pet your dog? And the boy's sitting in the buggy. I said, yeah, let me get him up here on my lap so he can pet him. So Ricardo got halfway up on my lap and the boy's petting him. All of a sudden the boy points at Ricardo and says, dog. I said, yep, you're right, buddy. That's a dog. And the boy couldn't be like 4 or 5 years old. And he
Oh,
goes, dog. And I said, yeah, buddy, he's a dog. You're right. Well, then I look at mother, she's crying. I'm going, oh, I don't know what Ricardo did. I put him down. So I'm sorry. I don't know if he did, but I apologize for him.
yeah, yeah.
She goes, no, your dog didn't do anything. Says, my son is autistic. And that's the very first word I heard him say.
Oh, what a man. Ricardo is oh man, he's an angel for you. What?
Yeah,
And for
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. And so we made a little book of that journey. And I've never seen that woman and her son ever again at the store.
So many incredible stories, James. Wow. Thanks so much for sharing all of your love, light, your energy, and all of your blessings. I'm just so grateful we came across each other's paths, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you. Thanks so much. And yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Oh,
That's all I
thank
can
you
keep
for
saying. Just thank you.
oh, thank you for having me, and thanks for the opportunity. And everybody, hey, hanging there with him and everything like this, little less fear. So
Yeah,
get in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
get in there and listen some more. And when you just get a little bored, you can come over to me.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, James, tell us about your podcast. Where can we find your podcast?
it's on most of the major platforms. And again, it's Professor of Perseverance podcast. And so just look it up and there it should be. And
Well, I can't wait to be on your podcast. Thanks so
yes, sir. We're
much.
going to have you on here. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much. And we're gonna keep in touch.
All right, buddy.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.